HD Nation.
This episode of HD Nation is brought to you by Squarespace. If you haven't calibrated your HDTV or you suspect somebody's been fiddling with the settings on your HDTV or your Blu-ray player, do yourself a favor, calibrate your HDTV today. Do it. Well, I was watching Ray, which I'll talk about in a second, and I was like, something's weird, and I happen to have the first of I've got like probably, thanks to you, 7 different Blu-ray calibration discs in my stack of Blu-rays at home. THX one was on the top. And I discovered as I'm going through the settings, my color was off a little bit here and off a little bit there, not so bad. Color tint set. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm missing a big chunk of the screen because the overscanning was actually on.
Ah,
yeah.
That's a big one.
So once I actually had the full 1080p display on my 1080p screen, imagine that. Things looked better.
It's dramatic.
It was dramatic.
Dramatic.
It was irritatingly
that
dramatic.
little bit, that 5% overscan just suddenly makes every pixel not map properly to a 1080p screen. And that ruins detail.
Yes, it really, and I went back because something had looked funny about a disc I looked at the day before, and I threw that disc in and went, oh.
I'm going to work on a rear projection TV tomorrow at the client's house, and they're having an overscan issue that I really won't be able to correct because you're kind of stuck with overscan on rear projection TVs compared to modern flat panels that let you map everything 1-to-1. And unless I put it into some crazy PC mode and rewire a bunch of stuff, I just would rather have this person buy a new TV.
I have a personal request for every HDTV manufacturer in the world right now, by the way. Please call overscan overscan. Rather than, per pixel maxing, interpolation,
Just.
Yeah, you know what I mean? There shouldn't be like,
HD2.
Yeah, to put overscan in the name of it in there somewhere. I also have a question for you.
Picture size. Gets closer.
I get hit with a couple of emails, not on our regular work account, but a personal account, from a buddy of mine who was like, okay, it seems like 3D is really stupid until we have 4K TVs, and when we have 4K TVs, all the 2D content is going to look so much better than the 3D content. What's your take on 4K and whether it's actually necessary? I think it seems like 4K is necessary for passive 3D, i.e. eyeglasses. No, excuse me. 4K is necessary for eyeglasses-free, glasses-free, goggle-free HD TV if you want the same level of brightness, question mark?
I believe that's right, according to what we saw, although we're talking a few years off. Nobody was showing glasses-free that, in my opinion, looked all that great.
The Toshiba stuff looked like ass.
Except for that one company I mentioned a couple weeks ago. But that was also a prototype, too, and I'm happy they at least showed it.
I thought it was cool that they showed it, actually.
It just shows what it can be done. It's just I'm really worried about what would you do when you're watching 2D content on a set like that as well. Right. Can you go back and forth easily? You'll need more resolution the larger size screen you're going to go with, and the higher the quality of the content you're feeding to it, and the closer you sit. You can kind of reverse all that back out and say, you know what, if you sit further away, you probably don't need as detailed of a picture because your eye is physically not close enough to the screen to see all the detail.
If you're watching the ball game in the bar on a TV that's 20 feet away, it doesn't matter if it's 720p or 1080p.
And the quality of the content is key. It's the bigger the screen you end up with, and especially if there are more pixels on there showing you more detail, you're going to notice a big difference between broadcast HD versus something that's been well authored in Blu-ray, which is currently the best consumer format we have. The 4K venues out in commercial cinemas, they have a box of hard drives with an incredible amount of data. You think Blu-rays hold a lot of data. You got to see the data stream. It's like a 200 megabit data stream that feeds these digital projectors at 4K.
There's a whole sort of snake eating its own tail kind of chicken egg, which is going to come first, where 50 gigabytes on a Blu-ray is not going to hold enough data to hold up at 4K for more than like 5 minutes.
No, but if you're going to shoot it at, say, a 25-foot screen, and you've got a really nice video processor sitting in front of that Blu-ray, or the back end of the Blu-ray, it can scale it up and create those pixels that you'll need to take advantage of all that resolution. But I'm looking forward to AS 3D of some kind, especially with the passive 3D. That's where doubling the resolution will help.
Right.
But consumer 4K, I think we're at least 2 more years off for that. We'll probably see double resolution, double 1080p next year.
I'm going to call 4K at least 5 years off.
But the PC folks are itching. They can always use more pixels and more resolution. And with the new graphics cards that can do multiple displays at once and create one big desktop, those cards technically are capable of shooting a 4K signal out of them right now. So there could be some interesting stuff on the PC side of things. But I'm speculating.
Do not delay buying an HDTV because you're waiting for 4K unless you're willing to delay several years.
You get much more bang for the buck getting a nice dark black level than you would with practically and internet features if you're interested in those.
Samsung 8000.
Those are good too.
Kenny writes in, Dear Robert and Patrick, hello guys, Star Wars is coming out on Blu-ray in September. Which box set are you going to get? The complete saga, the prequel trilogy, or the original trilogy? I will get all 6 films. I like the prequels and the special editions and the original versions of the original trilogy. I agree Episode 1 was not a good film, but the other 2 prequels are not that bad. Thoughts, gentlemen? Kenny in Ohio.
In case you missed our various announcements at CES, basically we had Darth Vader at CES and Patrick's various threats regarding, Greedo shooting first, Star Wars episodes 1 through, what is it? We have to 6 now.
6.
We have Blu-ray on September 27, 2010. And you can pre-order now. The 9-disc complete saga is $90, $89.99 on Amazon. That's really not a bad price.
It's like $40 off the MSRP.
Doesn't sound bad at all. No. The original trilogy and the sucktastic prequel trilogy will both cost $44.99 and include 3 discs in the box.
It's funny because I actually pre-ordered FLCL Fooly Cooley, one of my favorite animes of all time, today, and The Incredibles today for delivery in February and April. And I was looking at Star Wars, and I'm like, I'm gonna have a talk with the missus, but $20 says I'll order the stupid complete saga because it's the only way to get the extra 3 Blu-ray discs with the 30-odd hours of extensive special features, including never-before-seen deleted and alternate scenes and archives. I like special features. I enjoy them.
I so wish the original unedited, how it was originally released, the original episodes 4, 5, and 6 were somehow still available. I was just,
yeah.
Although I did sit down and watch the redone versions, and except for what you mentioned about Greedo, I'll just leave it there.
Yeah, it's
not so bad.
The man George Lucas has a right to fiddle with his art. I mean, you know what?
Yeah, they did a South Park episode about that.
I finally realized why I'm not so pissed off about Walt Whitman changing Leaves of Grass with every edition until he died. Because you know what? The original editions were still available in print. So, I don't know.
It's a touchy subject.
Zach emails, I've been looking into Optoma's HD20 projector and I want to
Nice.
take the plunge. Yes! This projector, like most out there, does not include a cable input. I'm using a Windows 7 computer with Boxy. Should I get a USB cable tuner or an external box? I cut the plug on cable, but I do want over-the-air channels. Also, will the HD20 be able to function with a window in the room? Thanks, Zach in Connecticut.
Well, there is no tuner built into the projector. I mean,
and that's pretty normal. Most projectors and a lot of HDTVs don't actually have an over-the-air tuner built in.
Digital over-the-air tuners,
Right.
yeah.
You can basically buy like a 50, 60, 30, depending on where you're shopping, an external digital over-the-air tuner. An external USB tuner would work fine with your PC if you want to use Windows Media Center and do the DVR thing. The window will not prevent the projector from operating. However, if the window is large enough and bright enough, say Florida at noon,
if you have light actually streaming into the room where it's hitting the floor and being able to bounce off the floor up into the wall, it's going to just about wash that picture out. Outdoors, in particular, forget it. But indoors, as long as you're not pointing it at that wall that's closest to where the sun's coming in, you'll get some image, but it really won't blow up and turn beautiful until after the lights go down somehow.
Yeah,
so,
curtains or a blind.
When the sun goes down.
Or wait till, you're either only going to watch television at night or you're going to have a decent set of curtains.
That's where you have the LCD screen for that extra brightness during the day, and then you turn that off and have the screen come down in front of it, and then you'd set up the projector and go.
This is why we will never, ever reveal the location of Mr. Heron's apartment. There's a lot of stuff going on.
Also at CES, I talked to the folks at Hauppauge about some digital mobile TV technologies, and they mentioned they've got a few new cards coming out right now that seem pretty affordable as far as receiving over-the-air signals. So give them a look up just to see what their latest product. I know they're starting to ship some of them right now, and I want to say they were in about the $40 to $60 range for some affordable digital tuner cards for either computers or USB devices for notebooks and others too.
Yeah, and Optoma, while they refuse to comment on, basically they will never talk about what's coming down the pipe, they have suggested obliquely in a distant way that they aren't replacing the HD20 anytime soon. Of course, that means a new one will come out next week after you've bought it, but you should be safe to buy the HD20.
Just keep an eye on the lamp prices, and you might need another one of those down. It depends how often you use it, but you might require a lamp replacement every couple thousand hours, or if you see anything funny happening with the picture, that's usually what's going on.
By the way, I'm actually eyeballing it's like a sub $300, I want to say, motorized projection screen from Monoprice.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a pretty serious
Mount it in the
deal.
ceiling, or
I'm gonna
come out of the floor? That looks even cool.
Yeah. I cut the floor open in my beautiful turn-of-the-century rented home. The landlord would be pissed off about that. Hey, before Mr. Herring gets into the new releases, I want to give a shout-out to Ray, which comes out on Blu-ray this week. It was one of Universal's last HD DVD releases, and I never realized how much it lost on cable until I saw the Blu-ray. The Blu-ray is stupid gorgeous. The MPEG-4 AVC has lots of room on the 50-gigabyte disc, so I couldn't find a single artifact or edge issue or anything. It is a beautiful transfer. The colors and sets in Jamie Foxx's face are so crisp, and the soundtrack is flawless. Seriously, this is a spectacular job of acting by Jamie Foxx, and it is so much better on Blu-ray than the last time I saw it all compressed on DirecTV.
Oh, I had the same moment. I was watching Apocalypto, which is visually a stunning movie, and if you've ever seen it on Blu-ray, it's jaw-dropping gorgeous.
Yes.
However, try watching that on cable or satellite sometime, and the jungle sequences, basically the last half of the movie where the main character is being chased.
It's one giant artifact.
One big blur. One big blur. Ugly blur. Oh, and no amount of video processing is going to save you there. So, doomed as doom could be.
Move on to the Blu-ray.
It is time.
The Blu-ray stuff.
It's now time for the rest of the new Blu-ray releases for the week of February 1st, 2010. Let Me In. First, there was a Swedish novel in 2004, then there was a Swedish movie in 2008, and finally, there's this American version released last year. It takes place in the 80s and tells the story of a 12-year-old boy who befriends a vampire, though he doesn't quite know what she is. It was directed by Matt Reeves, director of Cloverfield, but don't let that dissuade you from this film. It's completely different. It stars Chloe Moretz, aka Hit Girl from Kick-Ass, who does a fantastic job. Extras on this disc include unrated deleted scenes, a featurette dissecting the car crash scene step by step, a special effects featurette, a making of featurette, and a picture-in-picture track that gets even more in-depth on the making of the film. Also released this week, A Woman, a Gun, and a Noodle Shop. Back in 1984, the Coen brothers wrote and directed their first feature film, Blood Simple. 25 years later, Zhang Yimou, director of Hero, remade that film into A Woman, a Gun, and a Noodle Shop. Fast-paced and visually stunning, this film tells the story of a man who hires a hitman to kill his wife and her lover. But of course, nothing goes according to plan. This release comes in Mandarin only, no dubs available, but subtitles are of course available in English, Spanish, and French. Extras on this disc include 19 featurettes that total 2 hours with tons of behind-the-scenes footage. Other releases include 1979's 10, An Affair to Remember, 1951's Alice in Wonderland, the 60th anniversary edition, All About Eve, Beverly Hills Chihuahua 2, Big Mama's House 1 and 2, Boys Don't Cry, 2010's Chain Letter, 2010's Conviction, The Cove as a Best Buy exclusive, the Criterion Collection's The Double Life of Veronique, Hatchet 2, Hurricane Season, Monsters, Never Let Me Go, Night Catches Us, Pleasantville, The Rules of Attraction as a Best Buy exclusive, Shopping, Still Waiting, also as a Best Buy exclusive, The Tillman Story, Welcome to the Rileys, and You've Got Mail. It's time to thank one of our sponsors, Squarespace. Squarespace offers users a flexible solution for anyone looking to create a blog, personal portfolio, or any kind of website. No matter what level of coding experience you have, Squarespace can provide the tools needed to create a high-end, complex website that is uniquely your own. Don't worry if you come across any questions or issues, Squarespace also offers every user 24/7 support. Squarespace just pushed a brand new social widget tool for geolocation services. Display your most recent check-ins from Foursquare, Gowalla, and Facebook Places on a live Google map. Squarespace is the only web publishing platform with a native built-in solution for displaying your check-in data. The widget is totally customizable and fully integrated with the Squarespace Style Editor. Squarespace's iPhone app lets you publish to your blog on the go and moderate your comments. Get push notifications to approve new comments, mark existing comments as spam, reply to comments, and more, all from your iPhone. Many of the internet's highest trafficked web pages are powered by Squarespace, not to mention many of the personal pages of Revision 3 hosts and personalities. Go to www.squarespace.com/techzilla to get a 2-week free trial and learn more.